Bless America. Alrighty. Well, welcome everybody to the number one podcast in the world. I'm your host, Father Derek. As always, I'm joined by my brothers. To the left of me, to your right, Ragu, brother Jerome. Today is a little bit of a Valentine's Day edition. It's Friday night, so if you're watching this and you have someone that you love, bring them close. Turn on the Confessions podcast, the number one podcast in the world. Subscribe if you haven't already, and make for great conversation. I think we all have our own little inputs on a lot of things, and if you look at the thumbnail and what the title of this video is, I want to tie it back into faith and try to look at how Jesus loved and use that as an example of how we should love our neighbors, and especially into how today's world is. Like we were talking about right before the pod started, the Super Bowl happened, and it was mainly just like a political thing, and everything's political these days, and there's a lot of hatred in this world, a lot of divisiveness, especially here in the States. And I think it's part of our duty as believers and as men who are aspiring to be leaders, who are leaders and aspiring to gain more authority and power in the future. I think it's part of our duty to speak the good word and set. And he set the example. He's the perfect example as always. And so that's what I wanted to touch on today. And of course, we'll read out of the word like we normally do. But I think this time I to like not only like with relationships with the partner, but like with friends, families, and then even just our peers, and what we want to also impart on our children and things like that.
First thoughts that I have initially when you bring this up is moments of betrayal. It's the complete opposite. Love is a choice, and I think you mentioned the greatest example of all, Jesus Christ. And the moments that jump to thought are moments of hurt, just because no one's perfect. We always have certain expectations, and it's bad to have those on people because most of the time they're going to fall short. They're going to make one bad move and it's going to hurt your feelings. It is what it is. And then what I like to personally do is ask myself, what would Jesus do? And I can think of, for example, my brother. Me and that man, we butt heads left and right.
Since we were kids,
bro. Even to this day, every now and then we butt heads. I mean, it's gotten better over time, and as we've grown more older and more mature, I think that's a perfect example. Like I said, we always butt heads, we always argue, and we get into some pretty bad fights. But at the end of the day, it's always choosing love. Always choosing, hey, that's my brother, and at the end of the day, I can happily sit there and say he has my back no matter what. So that's first initial thought that jumps to my mind.
Would you say it was the not all sunshine and rainbows?
Not all sunshine and rainbows.
I think that's the most prominent feature of love, that someone seeing the worst version of you, the worst side of you, the angriest side of you, and still choosing to be there, still choosing to have your back. And I think the most prime example is Jesus and your family. You could be a bum, you could be the worst person ever, you could be treating other people wrong, but Jesus, one of the same. We're supposed to love each other like how he loved us. And the way I express my love is I grew up in a household full of guys, no women, because my parents divorced and my sister went with my mom. So we never really got that soft, motherly, affectionate love. We were always tough love, hard love. Like my dad was like, hey, like
even your mom and your sister are both more of the tough love.
Myself, especially like when it comes to with girls. I've ruined a lot of relationships like that because I don't communicate and I just kind of like bottle everything up as a man does. But over time, I've gotten better, and the way I express it now is if I'm giving you my time and attention, I love you. Because other than that, I'm so busy and it's been so hectic the past few weeks that if I'm managing to take out at least an hour, or not even, sometimes if it's just a few seconds to text back, then I love you because I'd much rather keep doing my own thing, not interacting with anybody. But lately, I found myself calling my parents a little bit more. Not every week, but maybe the other week. When back then, I would never call them, and they would call me, and I wouldn't answer. I had a real bad problem. A lot of people have told me I had a real bad problem not answering my phone. But lately, I've kind of, those who have my number have it for a reason, and if they're calling, then I should probably answer. It's important. And if it's really like, oh, I'm busy, then it's not gonna say, hey, I'll call you back later, like I'm doing something. So I've gotten more mature in that aspect because the way things are going and the way, time's flying. I don't want to have any regrets if something were to happen to my parents or loved ones, and I want to know that, hey, I made the effort to at least talk to them once a week or every other week, or at least a text back. But that's my vision of love recently is if I'm giving you my time, I got a lot of love for you because there's a lot to be done.
Something that you kind of touched base on, which I think it's a big misconception about love isn't really tolerating everything and anything. I think love can come in many different forms, like, for example, holding each other accountable. I think that's a very pure form of love, and at the end of the day, I think love is a choice as well. Feelings are always up and down. People think love is a feeling like, oh, this person makes me feel good, makes me happy, this and that, but no.
Dude, and that's crazy you say that because I've had that thought a long time when I would talk to girls or whatever growing up, trying to develop that experience, and they would say, you would know you'll love somebody because you'll feel it. And plenty of times I've never felt nothing, and I'm like, dang, what's wrong with me? Like, I want to feel it. I
I'm
want to
numb.
feel it. But as soon as we kind of started realizing like it's a choice. Like I'm choosing to love you. It makes a lot more sense. I'm choosing to put up with you. I'm choosing to give you my time. I'm choosing to listen to your problems when I got my own problems. I'm choosing to be there for you. I don't have to. I want to because I love you. Even though I might not feel it, it's the choice.
It was working.
Yeah, it was.
No, it's
I don't know.
Mic check.
Mic check. Test 1 2. I wonder how long it's been out. I don't know.
Mic check. No, we're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, mine's been on.
Okay.
Sorry, we're checking some technical difficulties.
But yeah, I don't know. I think love can come in many forms, but I think a big misconception is when people think they feel love. Like I think there's some sort of connection there, and it's very difficult to describe. But I don't think it's just a feeling. Just because emotions, they're always up and down. It's a choice. You got to choose who you love, and I mean,
No,
choice is
it's
yours.
a great point that you bring up, and I think I've really had to have this conversation within myself and my expectations when it comes to love and the people that I choose to love, because I used to be that type of person that would put someone else on a pedestal, and whenever they betrayed me, it was like the end of the world. But instead of seeing things like that in that type of way, it's like, no, one, they didn't ask to be put on a pedestal. If I do that, it's because I did that myself. And then also recognizing that everyone is going to make the mistakes, like you mentioned. Everyone's going to fall short. Everyone's going to somehow, some way, they're going to offend you. I think about like the relationships that I have with my mom and my brother and other people in my life that have offended me, who back and forth, right? I've offended them and I've betrayed them, and I've done things that I regret and they've done things they regret. And I'm like, that's what love is. Love is everything that comes with it, the good, the bad, and the ugly, but still choosing to stick by your side. So, you know what? I'm still here for you. No matter what, at the end of the day, whenever it comes down, if we were to get sick, I'll be the first one there. And so I think whenever you get into that relationship with somebody and you don't have those expectations like, oh, they're perfect, they're not gonna make any mistakes or whatever. It's already knowing that they are going to do you wrong, and you're gonna offend them. It's gonna go back and forth, right? But it's loving them despite all those things, loving someone for who they are, accepting them for who they are now, not trying to, oh, well, they'll change over time or they'll improve over time and whatever. Maybe that's true, but no, like it's seeing people where they're at and saying, you know what, no, I love you for who you are right now. Even if we butt heads, even if you fall short, that's fine. You're human. I'm gonna do the same. Like, I'm gonna offend you. I'm gonna do something wrong. We're gonna get upset, and so that's whenever the love really shows. Because it's very easy to love someone who doesn't offend you, who you don't argue with. But once those conflicts do arise, then that's whenever, okay, let's see how strong the love really is. Because if I offend you and then all of a sudden you're cussing me out, crashing out on me, and you stab me in the back and you turn your back on me, whatever, then okay, well you probably didn't love me to begin with. But if if I offend you and or if I do something wrong that hurts you, and you say, you know what, Derek, now that hurt me, that offended me, let's talk about it because I know you love me and I know that you've treated me right for the like throughout most of the time, like 90% of the time, 99% of the time you're good to me. But you offended me in this 1% this time. Let's talk about it and let's work past it.
And I think that's a good point where love is truly tested, especially in those difficult times, whether it's with a family member, an intimate partner, a relationship. When those hard times, when that storm comes and you're both tested to see, hey, what are we going to do? Are we going to go our separate ways and kind of stab each other in the back, or are we going to make the choice to sit down, discuss it, and maybe not agree. Maybe not. You don't have to always agree, but move forward. And that really shows whether the love's going to come to an end or the love's going to grow stronger. And I think that's such a beautiful thing right there.
And I think that's how it always should be, growing stronger. It should be getting over time. It should be, building that relationship, building that bond to where it's not so easy to break apart. Where little things get in the way, but that comes with time. It should, at least. If it's not, then you probably have that. That's probably not a relationship that's filled with love.
And something that I personally did, and to kind of tie this back to our faith, is if you're ever in doubt, you're ever questioning, like, man, is this really love? Like I want to do better. I how can I improve? What should I do? I remember this time in a relationship where we're kind of going through like a bumpy phase or whatever, and I literally prayed to God. I'm like, God, like, I really love this girl. At least I think I do, and I want to do better. I want to improve. So God, if it's true, like, let it be. Allow me to improve. Allow me to be better. If it's not, Lord, take her away from me. And one thing after another led to the next thing, and I don't know. God works in mysterious ways, but that's how you'll know. I feel like
That kind of got me thinking about that saying where true love never fails, so if it fails, it wasn't love. I've never really liked that saying because I feel people use it as a crutch to help get over their heartbreak. I feel like love can go beyond that, where you can love someone enough to walk away, or love someone enough to let them go, or love yourself enough to walk away and let go. Right? It hurts. It's uncomfortable. It's feels like the end of the world. But I feel the love is the most strongest when you can talk about those uncomfortable things and endure those uncomfortable things. Not when it's all sunshine and rainbow. Same thing with about praying to God. You're not gonna just pray to God when it's all gloomy and sad and you're depressed. Pray to Him even when you're happy and everything was going good. I feel like it's the same thing for love. Like, it's not always gonna be sunshine and rainbows. You're gonna have to love someone and go through the storm and be like, hey, I love you enough that I'm okay if we don't talk ever again.
I like to believe that love and respect are connected. Love and respect go a long ways, just because, especially in those dark times, especially in those bumpy times, like, what are you going to choose to do? Are you going to choose to go backstab that person? Or are you going to choose to still respect that person And eventually, you know what? After things cool down a little bit, let's come back together. Let's sit down like some adults and discuss this and move forward rather than allow. A good point that I think the Hermoses made. No, it wasn't the Hermoses. I think it was that old dude. He's a financial guy, real estate guy, whatever though. He says it's not me versus you and the problem. It's not that. It's me and you versus the problem. So I think that's a good way to look at it as well.
I've heard that saying a lot. And I always think it's funny too, where a lot of people, as soon as they get mad at each other, first thing they do is start bashing each other on Facebook, airing out all the drama. First thing they go is
that's
cheat.
immature.
It's immature.
Bro, yeah.
See? And then you love this person, but you're airing out all their business. They're on their fourth job of the week, and then the next week you're back with them. I think that love extends more than that. Like, first thing you should do is not bash your partner. You should, okay, I'm mad at you, but whatever. I'm still gonna go get you your favorite drink from this place, but I'm gonna take a big sip out of it. It's gonna be
Pissed
easy.
off. Here.
Here, it's like I feel like you'll be a way of being petty, but I still love you. I'm not gonna go and hurt you. You might be a little hurt because your drink's empty, but it'll be okay.
Still thought of you.
Still
I guess.
thought about you. I
guess.
guess. I didn't go cheat, but
No, I think that's a good point too. Is like whenever you love someone, I don't think it's like you're intentionally trying to hurt them. Like naturally you'll offend them because we're all different individuals. We have our own mindset. We grew up a certain way. We all have our own, inner monologues going on throughout the entire day. So we look at the world a little bit differently, no matter how similar we may be. So naturally, those altercations are going to come up where we disagree and maybe offend one another, right? But I think it's whenever you do love someone, it's like, well, I love you. I don't want to hurt you. So let's try to find a solution to the problem. And I think that's a good way of thinking about it too. Like we're on the same side. Like we're on the same team. So let's not tear each other down whenever there's conflict arising. Let's unite and fight against the conflict.
And I think that's the best feeling ever too, when you have those difficult conversations. And I can think of examples like I know me and my sister, I've had one. I know we've had one. Like we've had those difficult conversations where we sit down and we're like, all right, hey, we got a situation. We need to figure out some solution. And once you actually let it out, all put the cards out all on the table, and you sit down with each other and figure out that solution. And once you get over it, you always realize it wasn't even that deep. Two, you're able to progress as well, and that grows the love and the bond even stronger than what it was. So,
and I think whenever you avoid the conversation, you start to have your own conversation with your mind.
Bitterness.
And then you start to get bitter. You start to speak on behalf of the other person without them ever having a chance to hear what the problem is. And you let it fester and it grows. And then it gets way blown out of proportion. Like you mentioned, if you just had the conversation to begin with, you probably would have realized that no, it was probably just a simple misunderstanding. Maybe it was a small disagreement. But I think whenever you do love each other, it's like, no, like I don't want to hurt you. Like I love you. I want you to win, and I want to be there with you as you win. So let's navigate it together. Instead, whenever you're by yourself, you lock yourself in your room, you avoid them conversations. You have those conversations in your mind going on and on. Well, they probably think this, or they probably think that, or they're probably saying this right now. And then you make it way worse, and that brings division. And I think it's exactly what it goes back to the word saying, where the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. Where the enemy, he brings division. That's what he does. And so that division will only grow the longer that you prolong the conversation from being had. And I think I've had a very intimate experience with this over the past year, where there was a very necessary conversation that needed to be had that was avoided, and it made everything worse. Everything. And it was, I mean, it got as bad as it could have. And it was because there was no conversations being had. And I think that's a big responsibility you have with someone that you do love, is whenever you do get offended, bring it up. Say something. Like if you have a problem, say something. I think you owe it to that person that you are, in a relationship with, a business with, your family members, whatever. You owe it to them to bring up an opportunity for y'all to discuss and, like you said, lay it out on the table. And maybe it was a simple misunderstanding. Like maybe, okay, my bad. I didn't mean to, And like you mentioned, we've had to have times where we've had those conversations amongst one another. And I like how you said, you realize, it's not that big of a deal. I should have said something a lot sooner, and I was too in my head about it, and then meanwhile we're laughing while we're having the conversation. Okay, you know what? Like I understand. Like, but I think one thing that I really enjoy that we've been able to have in our relationship is like, you know what? At the end of the day, I love you. Like that's number one basis is we go into this conversation, no matter how difficult this conversation might be, we're gonna move knowing that we love each other. That's number one. We love each other. So now let's go into the conversation instead of, well, man, I hate you, or I'm like, whatever. You can be angry, upset, whatever. That's fine. But it's like, you know what? At the end of the day, I love this person. So let's have this conversation in love and not in however we're feeling, And so, yeah, I like that we've been able to build um, that type of precedent in our relationship.
And I think it just takes time to realize that. It takes some growth and takes a level of maturity, because I know for me, like, so many failed relationships, so many bad decisions, mistakes, I'm no saint. I've sinned, and I've done wrong by people, but you have to be willing to take a look in the mirror and look at yourself and realize, okay, hey, I need to do better as well. It takes two to dance. It takes two to be in a relationship. It's not just one. And something that we always like to do is take full responsibility for everything that happens to us, for the way people treat us, the way people talk to us, the things that happen to us. And let's just say someone does get offended by something that one of us does, right? We like to take a look at the mirror and be like, okay, hey, what did I do? I made some sort of move. I did something in order for this person to react this way towards me. What was it, And you got to ask yourself, okay, hey, was I wrong to do that? Was I wrong to do this? Was I wrong to say this? And sometimes you are, sometimes you're not. And then just being willing to have that conversation with that other individual, how we're saying, and move forward.
Yeah, and kind of how you're saying, love is not prideful. Love is not egotistical.
Yep.
Love is the most humbling thing that you'll have to experience, because a lot of times, like you mentioned, even if you feel like you weren't in the wrong, you still gotta, no, let me put that aside. Clearly, I offended this person. Even if I was wrong, or even if I was right, maybe it was the way that I said it. Maybe it was the action that I took, and you know what? For that, I'm sorry. Let's put it aside. Let's move forward in a different manner. Or maybe it's one of those things where we just can't come to an agreement. That's fine. We'll respect each other, and let's just move on. Let's find a way to navigate through this life together. Because I think also, like, at least for us, and I think whenever you do and generally love somebody, it's like we can agree on 99% of things, and maybe it's just that 1%. So if it's that 1%, I'm not going to expect you to fully change and become me. You're still you. So let's just learn to embrace it. Learn to embrace the differences. And so even if I disagree with you, I still respect you, number one, like how you mentioned, and I still love you. So we don't have to talk about that. If that's a sensitive topic, or I don't have to talk to you like that. I think that's another way too, is just putting your pride, putting your ego aside, and just humbling yourself. And it's just a full example, man, just looking at how Jesus loves us and how he loved his disciples. And I think it's the number one example is, if you have a relationship with God, if you have a relationship with Jesus, that will make you love better.
I also think forgiveness plays, and we're all sinners. No one's perfect. We're always going to fall short, especially when it comes to love. We actually, those people are going to fall short. Same how you fall short in your relationship with God, and how we keep repeating, the number one example is God, Jesus, always choosing to forgive. And I think of the story where it's Simon and someone else, but they always kept on fighting, butting heads. And I remember watching it off of The Chosen. But Simon goes to Jesus and he keeps on mentioning how, like, man, this guy, he keeps on betraying me. He keeps on hurting me. Like, I've forgiven him. He did this. He's like, yep, forgive him again. He's like, how many times? He's like, seven times seven. I was praying to God, and I was actually kind of, in a way, asking for forgiveness and apologizing, and also giving him praise and thanks, just because there's so many times that I know that I fall short and that I sometimes fall back into bad habits, into sin, and time after time he's still there for me. Time after time he still chooses to forgive us, and I think that's the purest and the best example of love.
Its core, it's giving somebody something that they don't deserve, right? Well, as we've talked about in the past, the wages of sin is death. That is what we have deserved. That's what we earn through our choosing to sin. And yet Jesus loves us so much that he died for us in our place, took on our sins, and we get mercy through that, by going to him and still being a follower, choosing to follow Jesus. And so I think that's one thing that happens all the time whenever you have a relationship with someone that you love. It's choosing mercy, and mercy is as a product of forgiveness as well, because you offended me. Well, what do you deserve because of that? Let's say you lie to me, and it causes me to, I don't know, maybe make a bad choice, make a bad decision, and I lose out on something, right? Maybe I lose out on money or something. Well, probably an eye for an eye says, well, okay, well, you're going to pay that debt. But mercy is saying, you know what? No, I forgive you. Don't worry, the debt's paid, right? Like someone makes a mistake and they end up losing something. Maybe they lose a house or something like that. But you're like, you know what? No, I'll pay your debt, because that's mercy. And so I think about that whenever, I have these expectations of somebody, like you mentioned, and they hurt me, they offend me, and they do me wrong. And I'm like, you know what? No, instead of crashing out on them, instead of turning my back on them, instead of, this, that, the other, retaliating, even if it is justified, Jesus chose mercy.
And forgiveness and love is not just for that other person. It's also for you, because when you think about it, on the opposite hand, what is it? To hold a grudge against someone, to hold that bitterness inside your heart, that's poison. It's going to kill your peace. And I don't know about you guys, but having a problem or having that bitterness, it's draining. It's really draining. So I think that's another thing. It's not only just for that other person, but it's for yourself, to have true inner peace with yourself, just because carrying that bitterness is complete poison to you.
And that's true, because I like I mentioned with this problem that I had arise, and where we were avoiding the conversation, and everything got a lot worse. I didn't have one day go by where I didn't think about it, and where it didn't, how do you say, it interrupted my peace. And it's like I didn't have one night where I was truly asleep in peace, because it was always in the back of my mind, like, this is an unresolved issue, this is a conflict, it bothers me, like, it really bothers me, and I would get riled up about it. And I think that's another part of, like, well, as you mentioned, like, forgiveness it's equally as much for you, but I think also it's expected of you, because how could you choose not to forgive someone whenever you are forgiven freely by Jesus, and yet you think you're so much better than he is to not forgive someone who has offended you. And so another part of it is this last time that I really had to humble myself and choose forgiveness. It wasn't so much so for them or for me. It was like, okay, am I in right standing with God? Am I, because it even the Bible says to not partake in communion if you are at qualms with a brother of yours. If you if you're having issues, if you're holding unforgiveness in your heart, don't partake in communion. And so I think that's just such a powerful testimony of how important it is to forgive and to choose love and to show mercy onto people. And as I mentioned, mercy is literally just giving someone what they don't deserve. Like they don't deserve it, but you give it anyways because it's given to you, you know. And so I think that's another big part, and why I believe in my heart of hearts that by getting closer to God, getting closer to Jesus, you will love better. You will show love more so than anyone else could that doesn't believe. And so, yeah, I truly believe that in my heart of hearts.
You were talking about how loving yourself and all of that. About sometimes you have to make hard decisions for yourself, right? We're talking about how we give love and how we want to love and how we're supposed to love. How do you take love? How do you receive love? Because when I think about it, right, I might love this person and I might be giving my all to this person, but this person doesn't meet me halfway. For example, say I really love this restaurant, right? But that person hates it. I love that person enough, so hey, you don't want to eat there? Let's go eat somewhere else. And it's like that for a long time. When are they going to show me love? Hey, I know you like this spot. Let's eat there for once, right? I'm kind of at the point where I'm not going to do one-sided love anymore. It's going to be mutual, right? I'll love you enough as God tells me to be. You know, I'll be there for you. Or, you know, respect you enough, love you enough to leave you alone, mind my business. Let's go a separate paths. I'll see you at the top. But if you want a connection with me, then you're going to have to work with me, and you're going to have to work just as hard as I do. I'm done with pleasing you and being in at your feet, kissing your feet. No, please don't leave me. Please stay. I love you so much. No, do you love me? You know I love you. God knows I love you. I love God. God loves me. God loves you. But do you love me? Right? That's that whole little cycle. Okay. And so I've been thinking about that a lot because, like I said, I grew up with a lot of tough love. So when girls, or even not girls, friends would give me something, I would hold on to that thing until I lost it. You could give me, you know, a drawing and I would hang it up on the fridge until it got ruined, or you could give me a rock and I would keep it on my desk and have my own desk cluttered because of you thinking of me and you taking time out of your day just to give me a little something as simple as a rock. Or you were out and about and you went and got something to eat and you got me something to eat because, hey, I don't know if you've eaten, got you a little, you know, McChicken and some fries here if you haven't eaten, right? And slowly as I've gotten closer to God, I've started to see more relationships develop where people are starting to treat me like that. And growing up, I didn't have that, so I was foreign to it. You know, and that was probably the reason for a lot of my failed relationships. They were never going to work out anyways, right? Because I was young. I didn't know what I was doing. They didn't work out for a reason, but I learned from those. And you know, a lot of the times they're saying, "Oh, I could fix him." I've had a lot of people tell me, "I could fix you." You know, I want you to change. I was trying to be with you because I thought you were going to change. I thought you were going to be, you know, change this habit, whatnot. But I'm not going to do it because I don't love you. I'm not going to change and do this because you don't love me. That's why it didn't work. But as we got older and matured and learned and got closer to God, it's like, hey, it's a two-way street. This love thing's a two-way street. So God can love us. He's always going to love us. For Jesus, it's a one-way street. He just wants us to love him back. So other people, they might not love you back. But then if you're not going to love me back, then I wish you the best. I'll see you at the top.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point. I don't know, for me it's a little weird. And the reason why I say that is because I think similar to you, sometimes I don't know how to receive love. And I don't know if it just comes with being me in general or just being a young man in this world, but I don't think we receive love in the same form as others, at least based off my personal experience. But when I do notice something very meaningful, it means the world to me. It means the world to me, and it's like it could be the smallest thing, whether it's maybe a small gift or just like
Anything.
a small message, anything, and I don't receive it often, but when I do, it means the world.
Yeah, it's like, man, I gotta be soft for a minute.
Yeah, I'm just like, dang. And to kind of touch base on one of the points that you made, I think having enough, you got to love yourself as well. You know what I'm saying? Because you're blessed with who you are, blessed in this body, right? And in a way, exactly how you're mentioning, you got to have some self-love. You got to have self-respect. And I think kind of back to how I mentioned, or how we like to say, is everything's kind of in our control, right? How people treat us, how people look at us, the way they talk to us, the way you treat yourself, the way you respect yourself, and the way you love yourself. I think that'll also reflect in the people around you as well. So I don't know. I for me, it's just weird. I just because I've kind of gotten maybe numb or used to it, to where I don't really expect like to be loved that way, to where like they're all lovey-dovey, gifts, this, that, right? I don't really expect that anymore. I feel like as a kid, maybe younger me maybe would have expected that, but me now, it's just like this is the role I play. This is who I am. This is the life I was blessed with, and I receive my love. Like what I receive is me being able to give to my loved ones, if that makes sense. Like me seeing them happy, me seeing them at peace, me seeing them not having to worry about anything. Like, I don't know, that's my gift for me. I don't really expect anything like, don't get it wrong, gifts and words here and there, they're nice, but like I've gotten kind of used to not receiving it and not expecting it. And I don't know, maybe I'm just weird and all macho, right? Whatever, right? But I don't know. It's at that point for me.
Yeah, for me, I think what separates us in my experience is I've been surrounded by such a loving family my whole life. My family's very close knit, and all the time we let each other know how much we love each other. All the time we're always expressing like, "Hey, I love you," and every birthday is meaningful. Every holiday is meaningful. Sunday, every Sunday that we spend together, it's meaningful, and I've been shown in those ways how to express love, and I've seen it in my family. I see it in my parents' relationship, and I see it in in my whole life, what it means to love someone. And so I look at those examples and I'm like, man, like I that's what I want to be able to replicate for my family, my kids, my wife in the future, and of course do it in my own way. And but I've had these examples set before me, and whenever you go to my house, it's just nothing but love. Like you could feel the love is palpable in the air
Yeah.
whenever you're with my family. And so I've been blessed, and that's why I say God. That's my biggest blessing. That's God's biggest blessing on my life is my family. I wouldn't trade my family for the world, and um, and in my experience, man, like whenever we get together, that's the type of environment that I want to create. Is just selfless love, and that's another thing I think that it comes to whenever it comes to receiving love. I think it's more so not even expecting anything. Like to love somebody is to serve. I think that's the truest form where Jesus would wash the feet of the disciples, right? Like this is love. Like I'm serving you and I look for ways to help make you happy. I look for ways to make you at peace. And even if I got to go through and do something uncomfortable to do it, like that is love in its purest form. And so for me, whenever I go and I start, you know, loving on someone, the way that I show it is, well, how can I serve you? Like, how can I bring you joy? How can I bring you peace? How can I just be there for you to let you know, even if we don't say nothing, I want to let you, like, recently, my cousin, her, her man, her husband had an accident occur, and he was hospitalized. And so, I was like, man, I really don't want her to be by herself. And so I was like, you know what? I'll go and be there with her, you know? And and I stayed with her, uncomfortable ass chairs, no sleep for days. But I wanted to be there for her because I love her and I didn't want her to go through that by herself. Right. And I was like, I'm choosing to be here for her, even though I could be, back home and, whatever, all cozy in my bed and all that. But it's like, no, how can I serve her? Because I love her, and I love him as well, her husband, and support her support him in a hard time, even though I couldn't, like it's not much I could do about health, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the very least, like, well, let me buy you a meal, let me be there for you, and you might be sleeping on this uncomfortable chair, or I'll be right there next to you.
I think that's where we can connect, where we're giving love, right? That's us giving love, right? But in a way, at the same time, it's also us kind of receiving love back. And I've noticed it with your family from me growing up, and I think this is where me and you can relate, where the only kind of love that I received, like that kind of love that I received from, was from my mother. But on the opposite hand, I think of it from, for example, my dad. He never really showed much emotions, much affection. It was more just very strict, very, hey, just, I don't know, very firm, And growing up, I didn't understand it. I was just like, man, like, I don't know. I didn't think it was love, right? But in a way, that itself is a form of love. And I mentioned it being foreign to me because now, it wasn't until recently, like now my dad started giving me hugs, Right before he hangs up, he's like, I love you, bye. Like that was foreign to me. I'm just like, I love you too. So it's kind of a thing to get used to, but growing up, how I'm mentioning, and I think it's very strict, it's very firm, it's very what's a good word to describe it? Very strict and very firm. It's not so catering to your emotions to make you feel good, And I think they're there to push you to become better, to prepare you, to hold you accountable in situations, and that is love in itself,
Uh-huh.
Recently, though, I found myself getting that little tough love seed that my family planted in me, finally sprouting and growing. Because lately, right, if I love you with the I love you, right, I'm gonna do things for you to make your life easier, and I'm gonna give you my time, right? But if I love you without the I, it's in a way that God called me. Love you, I'm gonna do things and go out of my way that I wouldn't do for normal people. So if you're a normal person, that's where that tough love comes in. And like, hey, like, yeah, if you need help, I got you. Yeah, I'll be there, whatever. You need to talk. But at the same time, I'm gonna love myself first. Example would be like this past weekend, right? I was really busy, and my roommates had their friends over, and it was like 1, 2 in the morning, and I was like, yeah, I could do whatever. I'm going to bed though. I gotta get up, gotta work, and they were being loud, and so they woke me up, and I got up and I opened the door, and I was like, hey, like, y'all being too loud, kind of killed the vibe, kind of you ruined the moment. They're like, oh, this dude old, he's unk, but like I meant it out of love, like, hey, first of all, we all got stuff to do tomorrow. Second of all, why y'all here late? Don't I got stuff to do too. This is for me. And so that's where my tough love's been coming into, and it's even been crazy because even my family's been noticing it. Where growing up, I was such a people pleaser, and I would let things slide so much. Like I would just take it and take it and take it, and I'd be okay with it. But recently, as soon as it rubs me the wrong way, I'm gonna say something, and I'm not gonna lash out. I'm gonna have that respectful, loving conversation with you. Like, hey, like, that's not cool. This is bothering me, whatever. Or an example would be one of my homies, he has a key to the apartment, and he would open the door without knocking. And back then, I was like, oh, it's cool, whatever. He's my homie, I trust him, whatever. But like, it's a respectful thing. Like, back then, I would have been like, cool, well, keep letting him do it. Keep letting him do it. I love you enough to where I'm sacrificing my happiness and my uncomfortability to let you do what you want to do. But now I love myself enough to say, hey, knock now, knock next time. We're still cool. I still love you. You're still my homie. But, I got to put myself first to where that tough love comes, side love that, hey, no one sees this side of me. No one's going to know that I was crying on your shoulder at 12 in the morning last night because my dog died, No one's going to know that unless I love you. But a stranger won't. They're going to see me stoic, focused. Hey, rest in peace, dog, But my family's going to know, hey, dang, he was heartbroken over it.
Yeah, I think you have a good point right there, where we kind of show a different kind of one, I believe. For me, I think family, you kind of mentioned, like, I'm willing to sacrifice my happiness and for you. In a way, I still do that, because I think of the story of Jesus, how he literally sacrificed himself for all of us. And to kind of connect it to me, I think of to change in order not only for me to change my life, but my family's life. Like, for example, like with my mom, I'm like, Mom, just step aside. Don't even worry about it. I got you. I'll handle it. You know, even if it sucks, even if it doesn't feel good, even if I don't find happiness or joy in it, you know, I'm willing to sacrifice myself in order for her to remain at peace and not have to get her hands dirty. But on the other hand, kind of how you're mentioning that soft, cuddly bit, but everyone else, I'm pretty stoked, just because I feel like I personally have to be that rock. I'm willing to be the one that sacrifices himself in order for my people to be okay. Only my people, but at the same time, how you're mentioning, and kind of how we mentioned earlier, it's not just tolerating disrespect. You know, you got to be willing to have self-respect for yourself, to where you're able to, exactly how you mentioned, call it out. Like, hey, let's not do that. Like, hey, knock on the door next time, please. Like, show some respect, please. This is my area. This is my safe space. You know, I could be naked.
This is my layer. This is my layer. The lion's den.
So I get what you're mentioning when you make those points, for sure.
And it's kind of like, you know, sometimes, and the thing about stoic tough love is when you show it to people. Like I said, I've been called mean so many times. Oh, you're mean. Oh, you're, because whatever, you know, that's a you problem at that point.
And I think that's where a level of maturity comes in, and a level of understanding comes in, because I think of, for example, my father. You know, he was very strict with me. That itself is a form of love, and how I'm mentioning, it takes a level of maturity and understanding to fully comprehend that. And I didn't understand that until I grew up to be a young man. You know, growing up as a kid, you're like, man, my dad's just being an a-hole. You know, he's just being mean to me. Like, why is he acting that way?
He just wants to hit me for no reason.
Yeah, like, no, he's holding you accountable. That's his form of love, and that can be extended out to everyone. I feel like you can, like, for example, like with me and the homies right here, me and the boys. Like, I'm not just gonna allow my boys to fuck off and do whatever and screw their life up. No, hey, Derek, Jeremy, even them with me, Raul. Hey, get your shit together. What are you doing, bro? Like, why are you fucking off? Like, come on, you're better than that, you know?
Like, I love you enough to where, you know what? Go ahead, say whatever it is that's on your mind. Complain all you want. Let us know what the problem is, and then afterwards, we'll say, all right, suck it up.
Let's get to a solution.
Let's get to work.
Yeah.
Let's find a solution. And I think that's so powerful, and it's very beautiful to see that, to where it's not just, oh, lovey-dovey, oh no, you're always right, no, like the world's out to get you, you know, you're never wrong. But it's like, it doesn't matter whether or not it was your fault. It's your problem to deal with, and so let's figure out how to deal with it.
And another perfect example is during prayer. You know, like, don't get it wrong. You know, sometimes I'm angry. Sometimes I'm most of the time I'm complaining. You know, like, God, why am I going through this? Like, sometimes you do, but He's always there for you. He always listens. And if you read your word, He holds you accountable. He's not gonna cater to your sins. He's not going to cater to your emotions. He's going to tell you straight how it is.
I think that's a very powerful statement, because he doesn't allow you, or he does allow you. I mean, he'll allow you to do whatever it is you want, but whether or not you're going to be prosperous and whether or not you'll get to experience the kingdom of heaven, that is fully dependent on whether or not you're going to take the right actions. And so if you're out of line, God's going to correct you. If you're in sin, because He's not going to cater to you being a sinner and continue to bless you and continue to give all of His favor to you, because you're living in sin.
And I think another perfect example of, not so much nowadays, and I think this is where we need to correct us as humans, but parents with their kids. You know, you're gonna allow your kid to. He's gonna find out. Boom, burns his. Andale, cabrón. There you go. There you go. Now you know. Hey,
Yeah.
come here. Come here.
Yeah.
Told you to stay away from it. What'd I tell you?
Yeah.
Now you know.
I think that's another thing too, is allowing the people. This is, like I said, allowing your kids, when you have kids, to make mistakes. They're gonna make mistakes, and that's fine. You know, that's fine. Let's talk about it afterwards, and let's come to a solution so that, you know, let's avoid this problem. You know, this may be a problem today. Let's not make it a problem tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. And where we, especially when it comes to love, where we fault at is we always try to change people. We always try to guide people and tell them, hey, no, don't do that. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. We have to realize how difficult, one, it's so difficult to even change something about yourself. That in itself is difficult. It's almost impossible to change someone else. And exactly how we're mentioning, people have free will. They're going to do what they want to do at the end of the day. And I believe if you truly love that person, when they do make this mistake, when they do trip and fall, you should be there. Be there and be like, a part of me wants to tell you I told you so, but hey, let's get back up. Let's dust each other off and let's keep going.
Yeah, and as like I said, God allows us to make mistakes. But it's like you mentioned, it's just He's still there. He's still there waiting for us to make that right decision to follow Him and to lean on Him. And even though it might not look pretty, it might be ugly, it might get worse before it gets better. You know, once we do decide to lean on Him, it's not with, well, you remember that thing that you did? Yeah, I'm actually gonna not choose to, you know, bless you. I'm actually not gonna be there for you.
I love you enough to let you do your own thing, and if it blows up in your face and you come back, I'll be here. You know,
Yeah.
and it's kind of, I'm not gonna cater to you though. I'm not gonna beg you. I'm not gonna, hey, stay, please. No, kind of like you said, Jesus won't cater to our sins. I love you enough to let you do your own thing, but if you come back, I'll be here, just like Jesus was for me. The world is yours, is my wife, my future daughter, and my nieces. Like, hey, you know.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, I think, man, we should get into the word, because it's already been pretty. Man,
We're already like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Probably
We're
just
like, I think
do-
we're in Proverbs chapter 19, and so I'll take it off while y'all flip to the page. On life, also it is not good for a person to be without knowledge, and he who hurries his footstep errs. The foolishness of a man did from his friend. A false witness will not go unpunished, and he who tells lies will not escape. Many will seek favor of a generous man, and every man is a friend to him who gives gifts. All the brothers of a poor man hate his wisdom, love his own soul. He who keeps understanding will find goodwill. A false witness will not go unpunished, and he who tells lies will perish. A man's discretion makes him slow to anger, and it is his glory to overlook a transgression. The king's wrath is like the roaring of a lion, but his favor is like dew on the grass. A foolish son is destruction to his father, and the contentions of a wife are a constant cast into a deep sleep, and an idle man will suffer hunger. He who keeps the commandment keeps his soul, but he who is careless of conduct will die. One who is gracious to a poor man lends to the Lord, and he will repay him. A man of great anger will bear the penalty, for if you rescue him, you will only have to do it again. Listen to counsel and accept discipline, then you may be wise the rest of your days. Many plans are in a man's heart, but the counsel of the Lord will stand. What is desirable in a man is his kindness, and it is better to be a poor man than a liar. The fear of the Lord leads to life, not even bring it back to his mouth. Strike one who has understanding, and he will gain knowledge. He who assaults his father and drives his mother away, knowledge. A rascally witness makes a mockery of justice, and the mouth of the wicked spread. Proverbs chapter 19.
Can you read? I think mine's a different translation, but I think I heard it there. Verse 16. What did yours say?
He who keeps the commandment keeps his soul.
Which one was the one where it was talking about the laziness, the workshop?
That
and
one is 14, 15. 15. Laziness cast into a deep sleep, and an idle man will suffer hunger.
Yes, okay. Mine's a little bit different, but that one immediately caught my attention and reminded me of the phrase "the idle hands" or "the devil's workshop," where if you're lazy, if your hands are idle, if you're not working, that's when you're the most vulnerable to the devil because you're constantly thinking, you're not getting better, you're falling into the ways of the world, you're not trying to get closer to God or reach your maximum potential. And I remember when I first heard that saying, it was like a year or two ago. Me and my friend in another city, and he had a worker come and work on something in his apartment. And what we're says it for us. He says, "The idle hands are the devil's workshop." So he was listening the whole time, and he put us on that. And ever since then, I've kind of kept it in the back of my mind, where hey, as soon as I give up, as soon as I get lazy, as soon as I fall to the world, the devil is gonna win again and take me back where I fought so hard to get away from. Because when you're lazy and you have all the time in the world and you're just sitting, all you're gonna do is think. All you're gonna want to do is you're bored. You're probably just gonna drink. Probably just gonna smoke. Probably just gonna play your video game. You get into that little sewer of social media, then you're just gonna get closer to God and you're gonna do your own thing. You're gonna get better, and that's kind of where I'm at as well. Where these past few days, it's like this for us all the time, but and that's just the way it is for the foreseeable future, and I'm okay with that.
And there's another scripture. I can't remember verbatim. It's like poverty will pounce on you like a thief in the night or something like that. Like poverty will come upon the man quicker than you could imagine for a lazy man. And I think it also describes right here in verse 24, the sluggard buries his hand in the dish, but he will not even bring it back to his mouth. Like the characteristics of someone who's so lazy that he won't even feed himself because literally it's because it takes energy to do so. And so I think, yeah, I like the point that you make where I've heard before. It's like if you're so depressed, get so incredibly busy that you can't even think about anything else, and I promise your depression will go away. Like just get so incredibly busy where you're constantly moving, because it's like you said, whenever you're not doing anything, it's whenever you're alone, you're vulnerable, not doing anything. That's whenever the devil's going to whisper into your ears the thoughts that can lead you to be depressed or anxious or suicidal, hateful, etc. And so it, it is blessed. It's a blessing to be so busy that you can't even have time to be depressed.
And I've learned to enjoy it now, and I'm okay with it. I used to be, oh, just please an hour to rest. Oh, please, can I go to bed early tonight? Oh, can I sleep in? And I realized like that's not gonna happen. It's wishful thinking. Just accept it. You suck it up. Like enjoy it. And I'm at that point where it's like, okay, another day, another dollar, but it's gonna be another day, another win.
Another win, yeah.
And so, but I really big pothead, not working, not going to school, worried about girls, wrong things. I used to be that guy, and I would be in bed playing the game all day, every day, and got to the point where my mom finally told me something. This was a long time ago during the COVID era, and ever since then, I've been busy, and my life did a whole 180, and it's like, wow, we're in the middle of what we prayed for.
Yeah. Yeah, and then now it's like it feels uncomfortable almost to be resting. To like have a day, like say you get sick, right, and you're forced to stay at home in bed. And one funny point on that is like my broker and another colleague of mine in the office, her husband got sick. Oh, it's like, well, I was like, it's like the end of the world. It's like you're dying because you get a little flu or something.
I swear, sickness and illness attacks our biological differently. I swear it does.
I swear it does, bro. Because it's like, because they understand, because like that's how it is with me. Or like I'll get sick probably once a month or something like that with how my immune system is, and so it's like I don't know. I got no defense against that type of magic. My defense is all. But when it comes to like, if I get injured or something like that, we could just keep pushing. But like, if I have a bad knee or a bad back, I'll keep pushing. But if I get one cold, I sneeze, well, that's it. I'm cooked.
Go to
Stay
work
home.
with a broken neck, broken leg.
Yeah.
Get sick often, right? I maybe get sick once or twice a year, if that. But when I do, come on, you gotta let me milk it. You gotta let me enjoy it. Let me
Yeah,
let
but
me
then
bed
even
rot a
at,
little
even at
bit. Like, man, I'm not the healthiest. I'm not. This is not me. This is not me.
yeah.
This is not who I am.
And me, whenever I'm like, the prospect of getting to stay home to rest sounds like, oh, I'll probably get to watch movies, catch up on a show or something like that. I'm asleep the whole time. I'm asleep. That's all I do.
Kind of like when our parents said, "If you're really sick, why you on that game? If you're really sick, why? Cause you don't want to go to school. If you're really sick, no game, no
Yeah.
food, no restroom, no nothing, no nothing. You just stay
No
in bed.
happiness.
No happiness."
You're gonna stay in your bed and you're gonna go to sleep. Yeah, that's how I am.
They were right.
But yeah. Let me see. Do you got any points on this chapter?
Could you read out? I want to hear it in your version. Could you read out verse 11 and 12?
Yes, sir. A man's discretion makes him slow to anger, and is like the roaring of a lion, but his favor is like dew on the grass.
So I'm trying to understand that. What is dew on the grass?
Like I believe dew is like like you wake up on a spring morning and you see like the water kind of on the grass a little bit, like the trickling water,
The little droplets.
like the little droplets on top of the water. I think that's the dew. Um, I don't know. When I think about it, I think about like a nice spring morning, and I walk outside and I'm walking in the grass, and the grass may be a little wet, because of the condensation, but it's nice. It's like it's pretty. It's peaceful.
And then it is one. Well, in verse 11, for me it says, "It is a person's wisdom yields patience. It is to one's glory to overlook an offense." Is that to like basically say me overlooking this offense will bring me glory,
Yeah,
or is it?
it's a king's glory. So I think about it kind of like in the Lord's Prayer, where it's like saying, "Forgive us our trespasses, so we forgive those who trespass against us, who commit transgressions, right? Who offend us. We receive glory in overlooking those."
See, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking because this makes me kind of think of me for some reason, king, right? A person's wisdom yields patience. It is to one's glory to overlook an offense, and I think of it as like me choosing forgiveness brings me glory, brings me gain in a way. And when, for example, we're offended, sometimes we are enraged, sometimes we do get mad, and that makes me think of verse 12, where that still brings progression or gains when we are offended, when we are betrayed in whatever way. Being able to be patient and somewhat control that, even if you're enraged, you're still able to make progress. You're still able to bring dew onto the grass. And I don't know, it just made me think of myself in a way.
I think also like with the roaring of a lion, or thinking about what a lion is, right? It's a respectable figure. It's strong. It almost strikes fear into you how much you respect a lion, and then whenever it roars, it's more of a warning sign. You're gonna notice it, that this is a powerful thing. This is a powerful creature, right? Like this is the whether or not I get to live or not is totally dependent on how this lion feels about me. So it'll roar as a warning to back down, But
Part of it's like, oh shit, but
Yeah, like if I messed up, man, I'm royally screwed.
at the
Right?
same time, it's like, wow. Like,
But if he shows me mercy,
misty morning, and you see all the grass is nice and beautiful, and it's just that mist across the top of it. And I was thinking of it like that. Even when he's enraged, you can still respect the fact and admire the beauty in it. So
Yeah, I think that's a good way to kind of interpret it and personify it as like the dew, like a beautiful spring morning.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of how you could personify the favor and how it feels. It feels like a beautiful spring morning.
Yeah, I don't know. That one, those two verses just kind of called out to me on this one. So
I like that little comparison though of verse 12. So like the authoritative figure, he can either really mess you up or show you mercy. You know, it's like
Yeah.
you're either gonna get thrown in the lines or hey, you're gonna be shown mercy the where it feels as good as walking through dew on the grass.
and patience, it's able to bring dew on the grass.
Yeah.
Exactly, I was mentioning,
And it glorifies your kingdom.
and it glorifies you. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we'll go ahead. If there's nothing, yeah, we'll move on very quickly. So we are in Matthew still, and we are in chapter 14. Chapter 14. So we likely won't read all of it, but we'll read a couple. We'll read a couple of verses. Well, we'll see. Maybe we'll read all of it. We'll see.
Can I go ahead?
Yeah. Go ahead.
John the Baptist beheaded. At the time, Herod the tetrarch heard the reports about Jesus, and he said to his attendants, "This is John the Baptist. He has risen from the dead. This is why miraculous powers are at work in him." Now Herod had arrested John and bound him and put him in prison because of Herodias, his brother Philip's wife. For John had been saying to him, "It is not lawful for you to have her." Herod wanted to kill John, but he was afraid of the people because they considered John a prophet. On Herod's birthday, the daughter of Herodias danced for the guest and pleased Herod so much that he promised with an oath to give her whatever she asked. Prompted by her mother, she said, "Give me here on a platter the head of John the Baptist." The king was distressed, but because of his oaths and his dinner guest, he ordered that her request be granted, and had John beheaded in the prison. His head was brought in on a platter and given to the girl, Jesus.
Dang, bro. What an evil woman.
I didn't even know he got beheaded. What?
Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
Jesus feeds the 5,000. When Jesus heard what had happened, he withdrew by boat privately to a solitary place. Hearing of this, the crowds followed on them and healed their sick. As evening approached, the disciples came to him and said, "This is a remote place, and it's already getting late. Send the crowds away so they can go to the villages and buy themselves some food." Jesus replied, "They do not need to go away. You give them something to eat." "We have here only 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish," they answered. "Bring them here to me," he said. And he directed the people to sit down on the grass. Taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, and looking up to heaven, he gave thanks and broke the loaves. Then he gave them to the disciples, and the disciples gave them to the people. They all ate and were satisfied. And the disciples picked up 12 basketfuls of broken pieces, walks on the water. Immediately, Jesus made the disciples get into the boat and go on ahead of him to the other side, while he dismissed the crowd. After he dismissed them, he went up on a mountainside by himself to pray. Later that night, he was there alone, and the boat was already a considerable distance from the land, buffeted by the waves because the wind was against it. Shortly before dawn, Jesus went out to them, walking on the lake. When the disciples saw him walking on the lake, they were terrified. "It's a ghost," they said, and cried out and feared. But Peter replied, Tell me to come to you on the water." "Come," he said. Then Peter got down to sink, cried out, "Lord, save me." Immediately Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. "You of little faith," he said, "why did you doubt?" And when they climbed into the boat, the wind died down. They landed at Gennesaret, Gennesaret. That's how we're gonna say it. Gennesaret. And when the men of the place recognized Jesus, they sent word to all the surrounding country. People brought all their sick to him and begged him to let the sick just touch the edge of his cloak, and all who touched it were healed. Matthew chapter 14. I think I connect that story or turn back to that story so many times. For sure.
Walking on water.
When Jesus walks to the water and he calls out Peter or Peter questions him and he's like, if it's truly you. The reason why I think I turn to this story many, many times is because so many times when we're going through a storm, when we're going through a difficult moment in our lives, we doubt, we question, man, is this really going to work out? Are we really going to get through this? And Jesus calls out to us saying, like, keep going, keep moving forward, keep coming to me, have faith. And of course, us being humans, and he shows us that, hey, I got you. I got your back no matter what. And I think this is a perfect story of when Jesus walks out on water. He calls out Peter, and Peter starts walking on water, but then he starts looking around. He starts looking at the storm that's crashing around him, all the waves crashing around him. Then immediately he falls into the water, and he's over here asking God, save me. And of course, Jesus reaches out and catches him. But the most impactful words that he says for me is you of little faith, why did you doubt? Because time after time, like I said, he always pulls through for us. And for some reason, we always fall short. We always fall into doubt, questioning, is this really going to work out? But I always try to turn back to this passage.
Absolutely, and what's such a powerful message about it, and also including what you said is, it's what are you looking at? Like, what you look at is what is going to determine how you feel about things. And I could look at my circumstances and I could point to all the bad things, all the negative things that are occurring, and I can dwell on those and let those impact me and my mood and my decisions. Or I can look at to the things that are good, that are positive, that are growing, and I can allow that to propel my growth forward. And your eyes on the solution, and the solution is always going to be Jesus. And so if you take your eyes off of Jesus and start looking towards all the things that are going on in your life, you're going to start to sink. It's going to feel overwhelming. But that's the role of Jesus, is to take that weight off your shoulders and give you peace. But it's a lot easier, because that's why it also says in the Bible that we walk by faith and not by sight, because if we walk by sight, we see all the negativity, all the bad things. It's very easily to be one of those people that says, oh, it's doomsday, world's going to end, all this and that. But at the same time, I can look at it and be like, you know what? Despite all the things that are going on in my life, I have my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, who's going to carry me to where he promised me. I can perform miracles because Jesus said I can perform miracles. And yeah, it's exactly like you said. It's a very powerful testament into having that unshakable faith that in the sight of, get Jesus first.
Mm-hmm. And I think a good mindset switch, I'm not sure where I heard this or who told me this, but this problem, oh, how big is this problem, this and that. But the mind switch is saying to the problem, look how great my God is. So I think that's a good mindset switch to have.
Absolutely, that's a good one. That's a good one. And it's like how we always say it doesn't matter, with God by our side, we can't lose. It's because we know that no matter what the devil throws our way, no matter what obstacles life brings, our God is bigger. Even the closest companions of Jesus Christ, even they doubted. Even they had moments where their faith was shaken up. Even as Peter was performing a miracle, walking on water, even he allowed what was going on around him to influence his faith. And so how much more difficult is it for us who, don't get to have a physical relationship with Jesus? How much more do we need to lean on and grow our faith because we don't have what Peter had, right? And so I think that's another way of looking at, man, we really need to grow close to Jesus where we build that intimate relationship, because the farther that I am away from him, the easier it's going to be like Peter was at this moment and look at the problems, as opposed to, you know what, no, I got a good close relationship with God. I talk to him every single day throughout the entire day. I know him intimately and he knows me, so that whenever something problem arises, I'm not like, where are you, God? Instead, I'd say, all right, let's take this problem on. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I have him right here at all times because I built that relationship with him. And so I think that's another powerful testament to
This
get from
one,
this.
this chapter was full of a lot of blessings all in one, all in one go, from healing people. Even though he was grieving, he said he still had compassion on them and healed their sick. After he just found out John the Baptist was beheaded, allowing Peter to walk on water,
He fed 5,000.
feeding 5,000, the sick just touching the end of his robe and being killed. All right here is just showing this is what he's been through and throughout his whole journey up until this point. And it kind of reminded me too. We're talking about tough love, accountability, holding each other accountable. I feel like Jesus does that to us all the time. How many times has he told us to have courage, do not be afraid? You made a video of it. It's mentioned, more than 365 times, right? He keeps telling us, holding us accountable. I keep telling you, have courage, don't be afraid. You have little faith. Why do you doubt? Why do you keep doubting? I've proved to you over and over and over. I've, keep showing you that I come through, but yet you're still doubting. You're still afraid. You still don't have courage. He's showing us that tough love. He's like, I don't know how many times I gotta tell you. I am who I say I am. Just follow me and trust me. And that's what I gotta do better on too, which I have been. But he's even calling out Peter and his own disciples.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think we can all kind of relate to Peter, when we're human, we always fall short, and I know I can say this on my behalf, like, for some reason, even though God has came through, we sometimes doubt, sometimes I think Derek had a good point. The closer you do get to him, the less you doubt, and the less effect that storm has on you. So I think the closer that you get to him, the quicker
You take that much easier and that much easier to pill to swallow. Like, hey, I was working on this, and this, and it didn't work out, but it's okay because maybe it wasn't supposed to happen. Maybe God wanted me to do this, but it's all right.
Yeah.
I'm built for it now. I'm built for taking L's. I'm built for failing. I'm built for, having to keep trying plan A, plan B, plan C. But at the end of the day, I'm still getting better and I'm still not doubting. Hey, that one didn't work out. It's gonna be all right. God got me. Let's try that.
and you got through it with God by your side. Like, that same storm comes around, you're just like, my God's greater. Like,
Yeah.
God got me.
And I think a good characteristic is being that type of person who's just able to be cool headed all the time. Like I always say, I'm easygoing. I'm pretty easygoing. Like I don't let things rile me up. I don't get very like enraged. I don't like there be stressful moments that could occur in my life. I'm still moving, just like it'll be okay. Like that's kind of how my mind is now wired itself to where no matter what's going on, no matter what inconvenience comes up, especially if it's minor, like it'll be okay. It's not the end of the world. Like for example, me losing my wallet happens all the time, right? I misplace it. I'm like, it'll be okay. I'll find it. It'll come back to me. If not, then it's fine. Everything's replaceable. Or like if I misplace something else that I own, because y'all know me, I'm just like, it is what it is. Or if I have these things at work and someone's complaining or something's going wrong or drama, this, that, the other, I'm just like, it is what it is. Like, I'm very easygoing. I don't let things get to me. And that's really started occurring more that I've grown my faith, because I realized, man, most things are not that deep. It's not worth overreacting. Why am I going to overreact? Is it going to get me anything? Is it going to get me anywhere? Why am I going to get so enraged and so emotional and so fed up with these negative feelings just because of something minor? Now that if there is something that does get to me, okay, yeah, it's pretty significant. But other than that, now that I've really grown my faith and gotten closer to God, it's like most days I'm easygoing, cool, calm, collected. Like I'm good because I know it's gonna be okay.
Yeah, I think we can also turn or tie this back into love, especially at the beginning of this passage where it's discussing how John the Baptist was beheaded. And I'm sure that Jesus was um, affected by this, and didn't feel good for him, right?
Yeah, I mean, it said he withdrew where he was at to a secluded place by himself.
Yeah, he took a moment for himself to grieve and to pray, right? And what he came back to do was to feed 5,000 people, and if that's not love, then what is,
Exactly. Going through grief and understanding that, you know what, in this time of pain where an evil deed was done, instead of letting the evil win, letting the devil take this man that was a prophet that Jesus said was better than any other man that walked this planet, instead of letting that evil win, let's combat it with good. Let's combat it with evil with good, with love. Just how you mentioned, and I think that's another good point that's extremely powerful because especially now, it seems like the whole world is filled with nothing but bad and negative, and hate begets hate, and words are thrown at friends, peers, right? People that we grew up with. Now it's just negativity, hatred. Oh, this hate fueling hate. And yet, when you look at how Jesus combated evil, how did he always combat evil? With love, with feeding families, with healing the sick, and I think there's no, like I said, there's no greater example of how to love than to look at Jesus.
Yeah, and I think would have spread this message a lot, especially to not only our viewers but to the world, of course. But I remember, I'm not sure what chapter it was with in Matthew, but where Jesus was talking to, I think, like the governing force of a town or a city there, and they were kind of questioning him and saying, um, "Oh, it's a demon healing a demon," and it makes me think of exactly the point you just made. We can't combat evil with evil, uh, love always prevails. The light always outshines the dark. So I think that's a good message to show not only our viewers but the world. Choose love, and I think Jesus right here in this chapter 14 of Matthew, he showed us just that. Even after he just went through a difficult loss by losing John in a very ugly way. He took a moment for himself and he made the choice, you know what, I'm gonna choose love, and he came and fed 5,000 people. And I think that's a perfect example of that.
From what did they say? How much they had? They said he had. Say we have. Dang, where's it say?
Only
we have 5
loaves
loaves of
yeah.
bread and 2 fish.
Yep.
And he turned that into being able to not only say, look, it says here, this is another key point. They all ate and were satisfied.
And I also think that's a good example for even us today. We only had 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, and I think of it as it's only us 3. But because we have God by our side and we're spreading joy, we're spreading love, we'll be able to feed not only 5,000 people but the world, by choosing love.
That's crazy too, because how do you go in with 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish and come out with 12 bags? That's what's leftovers.
Let's say what it doesn't say everyone just ate, got a little nibble.
They got
It says that they
they
were
were filled.
satisfied.
They
They
were
were
satisfied.
filled. They
Yeah.
were filled. And I think exactly there's a powerful verse that we had also read where it says, the workers are few, but the harvest is plentiful. Like there's so much work to be done, and there's so few workers, and here we are putting in that work, but then we see what the harvest that we are able to bring forth just from the workers that are limited, how much we can do with just that. and so we just need more. We just need to recruit more and more workers.
Makes me think of that one song by Big Sean. One man can change the world.
We're that. And one, like, now that we're mentioning that too, one thing that I'm like trying to emphasize for myself is being consistent of what I'm saying or what I'm talking about and what I'm telling the listeners and the viewers. I've had people tell me like, hey, like, I like y'all's message, you know, you're doing good, this and that. So now I got in my mind, people are watching, people are listening. Now we're gonna be
Yeah.
under the microscope, and but on the other hand, I've also people have told me too, like, you know, people have told me I'm real consistent. I really don't change. I'm the same as I was a year ago, as the way I think and the way I am, the way I act, right? The way I think, and the people say, well, yeah, you've been real consistent from when we're watching you with KRUE and the live streaming, and now it's like you've always been the same. You've only just gotten better, and that's what I want to emphasize. Is like I want to be. What I'm saying here, I don't want to just talk the talk. I want to walk it, right? So as soon as this podcast ends and I go back and I start next week, I still want to be living how I'm saying I'm living here. I still want to be doing good. I still, I'm not gonna go home and then stub my toe and drop 20 f bombs. I'm like, oh dang, that sucks.
Yeah.
Or
I
if
might
I
drop
lose-
one or two, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might drop one or two. Cameras off, but for the most part, back then I would have dropped 20. Now I'm dropping 2, right? And as far as like losing things, I'm getting better at that. I'm real kind of like Derek. I lose a lot of things. I have been better on it, and I've realized everything is replaceable. But what really gets me, what really hurts, is when it's a gift or when someone gives it to me. That's like, dang, yeah. If I lost it, I can replace it. I can buy a new one. It is what it is. But if someone gave it to me and I lost it, that was a gift from them. They spent their money on it. It won't be the same if I buy it. I don't want them to buy it again. So that's kind of when I go crazy. It's like, dang, someone gave it to me and I lost it. But if I lose it, I'm getting better on where, like, yeah, like kind of use, why stress over it? It's all right. It's
The
replaceable.
way I say it is like it'll come back to me. That's
It'll come back.
Because like I've lost things. Like for example, I've lost my ring and my bracelet more times than I can count, and these were both gifts. And I've gotten to the point where like if I lose them, I'm like, they'll come back to me. I know they'll come back to me, and I just they say you go to God with everything. I'm like, God, no, I really don't want to lose these. I really don't want to.
Literally, no.
I
But
don't want to
yeah.
lose them. Like, please, God,
Especially a gift.
show me where they're at. Like, God, please show me where they're at. And next thing you know, I'll find them in the middle of the street in the parking lot at the gym.
It's crazy how they're just sitting there, right?
Then
and he's not lying. He's not lying.
It's like, what's that shiny thing in the floor? That's a cool rock. And
What
it's
was
you.
it that you
Oh.
actually lost at the gym?
My bracelet.
It was. I
My
remember
bracelet.
that. I remember that.
And then I remember I lost my ring, and then a week later, my cousin found it in the street in front of my grandma's house.
Yeah.
He found it. I didn't even find it. He found it for me.
I think Jeremy, you had a pretty good point that I wanted to touch base on. Was like how the saying goes: once you open your mouth, you tell the world who you are. And I think that we don't realize that too often. And I think that's where KRUE or the Confessions podcast kind of turn towards, where we want to be true to ourselves and we want to acknowledge and hold ourselves accountable with the messages that we spread, rather than just, especially how we used to be. I know, especially with me and my personal content, I used to kind of just be that F-boy kind of content, and I remember sitting down with the boys and discussing. I know I discussed this with you, Derek, but where I called myself out, I was just like, man, is that a message that I really want to spread? Like, yeah, it gets me views, yeah, it gets me likes and all that, but that's not who I want to be. I don't want to be that kind of person to spread that F-boy kind of content. I want to have a positive impact on people. I want to inspire people to do better. So I'm glad that you kind of touched base on that, and I'm glad that KRUE and Confessions was able to take a turning point towards that and spread love and spread inspiration to help not only our viewers but the world to change.
Yeah, and I think it's also like you can only keep up a facade for so long, and until it really starts to weigh in on you. And I think it got to us, got to us all at that point. And I think now I would say Jeremy's always brought it up, where he's like, I don't want to do something and then get tired of it and it feels like a job. He's like, but I think now it's like we look forward to being here. Like we look forward to doing this And I'm sure whenever we're living together and we're able to create more content, it's going to be a lot more easygoing because we're doing stuff that we would normally do anyways. Like we're not trying to be something other than what who we are and go out of our way to do things that we normally wouldn't do, you know. And so uh yeah, I'm very proud of us and the changes that the adjustments that we've made and staying more true to ourselves. And I think now more than ever, I think I would say that I feel satisfied with where we're going, and I'm excited for the future.
Yeah, I can think of, man, it's crazy how life works, but I know for me personally, I was mentioning always for the past 3 years how I just felt like a chicken running with his head cut off, trying to survive, just trying to figure it out, and especially really just this year after 3 years of entrepreneurship, after what we've been doing this, after a few years of doing confessions and crew, it finally feels like we're doing everything with intention, and we have a sense of purpose and a sense of direction that we want to build towards, and slowly but surely we're building it brick by brick. And something that Jeremy and Derek mentioned, it doesn't feel like a job. I don't have to force myself to be a part of this. I look forward to coming over here every Friday night, Friday evening, and reading the word, learning about God, and being able to have discussions with my brothers here, and just grow. Like, this is growth for me. So
That's the one thing that I like about that season where we gonna be unapologetically me. I'm just gonna be me, do me. I love you. If you love me, cool. If you don't, cool. Like it's grind time. It's grind time.
Absolutely. And with that, we've come to the end of the Valentine's Day edition of the number one podcast in the world, Confessions. Subscribe if you haven't already. Happy Valentine's to all of y'all who have a Valentine. If you don't have a Valentine, that's all right. You can be our Valentine. You get three. You get three. How about that? And so, we love y'all, all y'all that are going out. Y'all be safe out there, and just enjoy the day of love. And I will be at WWE with my family. They're coming to Lubbock tomorrow, so I will be spending time with my loved ones, watching the thing that I love most in the world.
Sounds like a great Valentine's Day,
So,
full of love,
yeah,
full of family, the
full of
thing,
family.
the thing you love, and
Yeah, family and
Yes.
memories. So
Mhm.
looking forward to that. And so yeah, we'll catch y'all in the next one.